would have been if Sam Snead had finally won the U.S. Open golf tournament, or if Arnold Palmer had finally won the PGA.
On his way up to the press box, somebody handed him a little stuffed monkey. So he jumps up on the stage with both feet, reaches behind him, pulls out the stuffed animal. And as he throws it at all of us, and he says, "And I finally got that blank, blank monkey off my back."
I finally got a hold of him about 9:30 that night. And the first thing he said is, "Where are you?" I said, "Well, I'm in Orlando." He goes, "No, you need to be here." And I said, "Dale, I'm 2 hours away. By the time I get there, it's going to be 12 o'clock. I got to be back here at 6 o'clock. I said, I can't. He goes, "Man, you really need to be here." And, I made a vow from that point on, if Dale ever won the 500 again, or one of his cars won the 500, I would be down there to spend the night with him and enjoy it with him.
3 years later, with Michael Waltrip leading and Junior running second, Dale Earnhardt perished on the final lap of the Daytona 500. He was 49 years old.
This is undoubtedly one of the toughest announcements that I've ever personally had to make. But after the accident in Turn 4 at the end of the Daytona 500, we've lost Dale Earnhardt.
There's a clergyman who was a mutual friend of ours. And he told me one time, he said, "Hinton, I'm in the dying business." And he said, "Dale Earnhardt's got more hang-ups about dying than anybody I've ever known, especially in racing."
It's like when JFK got shot in Texas. I never thought he was mortally wounded, and I never thought that Dale was actually dead at the time. That didn't enter into my mind. A guy like him could not die.
He said, "I'm not going to sit in that car and have my mom or my wife or anybody worry about me while they cut that roof off. If they can pull me out of a car, they're going to pull me out of a car. So if you ever see them cutting that roof off, buddy, you know something's not right." So they started cutting the roof off, and I kind of got this real sense of panic, and I didn't really know what to do. So I jumped in my car and I started headed towards Daytona. And I got a hold of Mike Collier, who's Dale's airline pilot that flew his jet for years and years, and Mike was a great hunting buddy with me and Dale. And I asked Mike, was sitting at the airport, I said, "What's going on?" And Mike said, "Well, I don't really know. They've taken him to the hospital, and as soon as I know anything, I'll let you know." And I said, "Well, I'm on my way down. If they let him out of the hospital, we'll all go back to the boat and enjoy Mike's win. If they don't, we'll just sit in the hospital with him tonight, and then, I'll go back tomorrow." So Mike said, "Okay, I'll call you back when I know anything." And about a half hour later, Mike called back, and I answered the phone, and Mike said, "Ned, he's gone." And I said, "He's gone? He's gone? What do you mean he's gone? He's left the hospital already?" And he said, "Nope, he didn't make it." And I just pulled over and started crying right there. I didn't know what to do. But I just turned around and went home.
It was about November of 1994. He said, "This is requests that fans have for things that they want me to do." And he pulled a sheet out and he said, "Just look at this." Well, we started walking back in the office and I'm reading this letter. And it's from a woman who says that her husband's dying request would be for Dale Earnhardt to drive his hearse from his funeral to the graveside. I had a tape recorder going because it was an interview, and I didn't hear what he said, and he muttered it. And I got back, and I played the tape over and over, and I realized what he had muttered. And when I said, "Did you drive that hearse?" and he had said, expletive no, what he had muttered was, "I'll be in one of them bitches soon enough."
You have to admire somebody that takes a group of people and forms a fan base like nobody else. There's something about him, and he was from a very small town, a common man that did an uncommon thing.
Well, to me, Dale is every bit as big as Elvis, and I'm from Tennessee. If you had ever told me that there'd be a stock car driver on the cover of Time magazine, I would have said you're crazy.
Sports covers at Time are pretty rare. We spend a lot of our efforts covering the world, covering politics, covering wars. So it has to be something pretty special and pretty amazing, and that was quite an amazing story.
The sport was really bigger, or as big as we said it was, and Dale was, you know, the leading character in that great drama that went on every Sunday. And people outside of our sport, outside of our circle of fans and friends, were paying attention to some degree and knew who Dale was. Through his death, we realized how truly big he was and how truly big this sport is. And I got to be honest, I think it surprised a lot of us.
This becomes a national event on the order of a state funeral at some point. I mean, when you think about what went on recently with the death of Ronald Reagan, and you wind that back to 2001, it has the same elements. This was a very popular man of the people, if you will. It's the same type of reaction that you'll see for a statesman. And in fact, you have a statesman for a sport, so it's quite comparable.
Sam Bass had given me a Dale Earnhardt Les Paul guitar. I just treasured that guitar. I loved it. And he knew what a Dale Earnhardt fan I was. I've really felt that I needed to do something just to let the audience know that he was constantly in my thoughts. We immediately sort of reworked the song, Put Some Drive in Your Country, which I've always sort of associated with racing. We came out on stage for the rest of that tour every single night, and I would hit the stage carrying that guitar. And there's one part in there in the original version where I said, "Damn, I miss Dwayne Allman, I wish he was still around." And I changed that lyric to, "Damn, I miss Dale Earnhardt, I wish he was still around," to put some drive in your country and keep country driving on. And boy, it obviously hit the right chords too, because every night that we would do it, the response from the fans was just overwhelming. I mean, there's a lot of Dale Earnhardt fans, and you find that out when you go out there and play that song night after night in front of thousands of people all across this country, and you realize that he had a lot of folks out there that really loved to watch him drive that race car.
It was tough to really focus on trying to drive and trying to, go get back to, winning and trying to figure out how to get to victory lane and doing what you do every day and what you did every day, So we finally got our team where we need it, and we're finally running good, And, it was hard to focus on that for a while because everybody wanted to, everybody wanted to know what you were thinking. Everybody wanted to pick you apart. But, so that was it sucked.
You win the Daytona 500, and that's supposed to be your day. But everybody's asking, well, you remember when your dad finally won it in '98 after 20 years of trying? And do you remember the last lap of the 2001 Daytona 500 when you and your teammate finished 1-2 and your dad was killed right in your rearview mirror? It just won't ever stop.
Racing in his shadow was fun. He was there. I would definitely rather race in his shadow because he'd be here and I could talk to him and ask him for advice and stuff. There's a lot of times where I need advice and I don't have him to give it to me.
The life force that drove the number 3 car isn't there anymore, but it lives on every Sunday that NASCAR races.
You go down on the South Carolina coast, North Carolina coast. There's not a shrimp boat down there that doesn't have a 3 on it. You go to the backhoe operators, the bulldozer guys that run them. They got them. Go to the ambulances, the EMTs work. Got those 3s on there. He was working people identified with him. And I don't care what kind of stuff that whoever puts out about the sport of NASCAR stock car racing, this is a working man's sport, first and foremost. That's who got us here. That's what is keeping us here, and that's what's making us grow.
I've worked like everybody else has at Great Dane Trailer, at Covell Insulation. I've done insulating work and welding work, front end alignment, brake work. I've done a lot of things in my time before I started racing to get to where I'm at. And I think I can relate with that guy that's up in there and that's paid and bought that ticket, that he's worked at the front end shop or welded all week to, save his money and come to the race. I value his support, his friendship, his support of NASCAR. He may not be a Dale Earnhardt fan, but I still like him. I appreciate him being there. He may, be against Dale Earnhardt for that matter, but still, he's part of our life and part of our racing. He's an integral part of the whole system. And of course, without the support of them, it'd be tough to race. But I think we'd still race.
With Dale, I've been running 200 miles an hour before, side by side with him, lap after lap after lap, and look over at him, and he had that same grin, a little mustache sticking straight out like that, and he'd look over at you and just grin, and you go, I think he knows something I don't know. This is going to be a little tougher than I thought.